A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. After the Sabbath, as the first day of the week was dawning, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary came to see the tomb. And behold, there was a great earthquake. For an angel of the Lord descended from heaven, approached, rolled back the stone, and sat upon it. His appearance was like lightning, and his clothing was white as snow. The guards were shaken with fear of him and became like dead men. Then the angel said to the women in reply, "Do not be afraid. I know that you are seeking Jesus the crucified. He is not here, for he has been raised just as he said. Come and see the place where he lay. Then go quickly and tell his disciples, he has been raised from the dead, and he is going before you to Galilee. There you will see him. Behold, I have told you." Then they went away quickly from the tomb, fearful yet overjoyed, and ran to announce this to his disciples. And behold, Jesus met them on their way and greeted them. They approached, embraced his feet, and did him homage. Then Jesus said to them, "Do not be afraid. Go, tell my brothers to go to Galilee, and there they will see me." The Gospel of the Lord. This Gospel's telling of the resurrection begins by noting that it is the first day of the week. That is, it's Sunday. In the book of Genesis, creation begins on Sunday. So now, a new creation begins on Sunday with the resurrection of Jesus. We are also told in the Gospel account that the day is dawning. Light is beginning to fill the sky, but it is not full day yet. Gradually, the sun will rise and fill the sky. In a similar way, the resurrection bears its fruit gradually, bringing more and more light over time. Christ himself is fully risen from the dead. Both body and soul have risen to heaven. But the fruits or effects of his resurrection, they play out in steps over time. The first fruit of the resurrection is interior. What happens is that we receive the inner dispositions of faith, hope, and charity. These inner dispositions orientate us to God. They lift our souls up to God. This is the first effect of the resurrection for us. Our souls are lifted to God through faith, hope, and charity. Next, the inner dispositions of faith, hope, and charity move outward. They lead to outward expressions. They become realized in actions that extend beyond us to the world around us. An example of this is when we do something for the good of another person. Another example is when we gather together as the people of God in church in order to worship God. These outward expressions of faith, hope, and charity are a further effect of Jesus' resurrection for us. The final effect or fruit of the resurrection comes after death, and indeed after this world has come to an end. Then our bodies will be raised, and we will be gathered together in the kingdom of God. We will live, both body and soul, in God's perfect kingdom. This kingdom will be without sickness or death. It will be without sin or strife, and it will never end. That's the final effect of Jesus' resurrection for us. And that's ultimately is what we are hoping for. But before this, the first fruits of the resurrection are already present. Yes, during this quarantine, some of the outward expressions of faith, hope, and charity are limited. For instance, we cannot gather to celebrate the Mass, even on the holiest day of the year, Easter Sunday. And that is a spiritual hardship. Still, we can and should celebrate the resurrection. Part of celebrating the resurrection is to appreciate the fruit of the resurrection that has already begun in us. Again, we have already been given the inner dispositions of faith, hope, and charity. And while the outward expressions of these dispositions are curtailed for now, still there are some things that we can do with and for others. For example, we can pray with and for others, even during the quarantine, even though we're doing it often by means of social media. Also, we can check in on others. In some cases, we can strengthen family bonds as we spend time at home with our families. During this Easter season, may the Lord strengthen the fruits of the resurrection that are already in us. May He firm up faith, hope, and charity. And may He help us to act on these inner dispositions, to act on them in our lives and how we conduct our lives. Christ is risen. He is truly risen. And may the graces of the resurrection bear fruit in your life. God bless.